No secret in how to go inward to spirit. It's really it's the simplest thing you can do, because faith says that you're already there. Your faith is there. Your faith has never been anywhere else. Your faith is not in your mind. It's not a concept. Your faith is a reality of the inner being. And it's our contact with our inner being. So let your faith go there. And let your faith transcend ego thought, ego mind, body mind. Let your faith transcend it. And that's very possible. The one thing that happens is there's an awakening in there's a transcending of mind, so that the mind is absorbed in that reality. If your mind is absorbed in that reality, suddenly you are endless. Suddenly you are borderless. A lot of times I like to sit and just meditate. You can meditate inward. And a good method that for me has been to sit, and as soon as I sit down and I begin to do this meditation, there is a violent swirling of thought. It just always comes. Because we're more used to that life. We're used to that environment of swirling, violent thoughts and ego mind. But you can take it inward. You can visualization is a good way of doing it. I mean, if you want to use visualization, some people use different methods, but a lot of times I use visualization by just taking all thoughts inward, just taking them down, and letting them absorb within spirit, because the spirit doesn't recognize those thoughts. The fearful thoughts disappear, for instance. The lustful thoughts, they all disappear. They dissipate when you go there. They just do. They're not there anymore. You don't know where they go, but they've gone. And spend some time, mornings especially, in that kind of activity. And exercise it, practice it, because the practicing will show you how it works. As soon as you take your thoughts inward, watch them dissolve. They just dissolve. Now, you'll struggle for a while trying to learn the practice. You'll struggle constantly with these thoughts, because they'll always come back, or they'll always be there. They'll try to take over. It's almost like your ego mind is a force and power here, and the peace and the borderless area of the soul is here. It's like they're in two different environments that you live in, or that you can live in. But you don't have to live that way. You don't have to live in that conflict or that separation. It's possible for all of us to live in the Spirit. And we can live in the Spirit by beginning. A lot of us have to begin the day in the Spirit to be able to live there. I mean, if we begin our day with all kinds of violent thoughts of ego, body, mind, body thoughts, if we start our day that way, our whole day will usually end up being that way. And our evening will be an evening of great turmoil. If you're a woman, your husband comes home from work, you immediately get into some kind of a scrape or an argument. If the husband goes to work with all these thoughts swirling around, he comes home in a terrible environment in his own mind. And so what happens is you start some kind of a scrape, or some kind of an argument, a fuss, and your lives become lives of turmoil. If you live in the Spirit, you'll live in peace. If you live in the Spirit, you will not come home with that kind of attitude. You'll come home with an attitude of life, an attitude of love, an attitude of peace, tranquility. You have been taken over by bliss. You've been taken over by the God of love.